Alright guys, we have been working with quadratic functions such as this, parabolas, and today we're going to learn about some applications, some real-world problems involving these parabolas. Okay, so taking a look at problem number 1. Tossed upward at a height from a height of 1 meter with an initial velocity of 4 meters per second. Its height can be modeled with this quadratic function, where t is the time in seconds, h is the height in meters, t seconds after it is thrown. How long will it take the ball to reach its maximum height? Alright, look. These problems very often follow the same type of pattern. Alright, so let's just talk about this for a second. Here's the ground. So very often there is some type of starting point, whether it's a building or whatever. So there's some type of a starting point, and there's some sort of object that's being thrown or something, and so it's following a parabola path. Okay, so there are several key points that we need to pay attention to. Alright, let's call this initial point right here, I'm just going to label it A for now. This is not official mathematics, I'm just randomly picking that letter. Okay, and this point here, we'll call that B for now. And then we have this point here, and we'll call this C. So, as you read the problem, pay attention to which part of the problem, which part of this path we are talking about. Okay? So, how long will it take the ball to reach its maximum height? So if we talk about maximum height, am I talking about A, B, or C? Yeah, clearly I'm talking about B. Now, understand something about point B. There's a name for it. It's called the vertex. And we've learned many things about how to find the vertex. Okay? For example, we've learned that if we want to find the x coordinate of the vertex, we can use the opposite of b over 2a. So get that back in the front of your mind. Okay? But look, one more thing to pay attention to. We don't have x's and y's in this formula. Instead, we would have y equals negative 5x squared plus 4x plus 1. Instead of a y, we have h, and instead of x's, we have t's. Okay, so the t's are like the x's, and this h is like the y. Now that's important because when we find the vertex, it won't be x and y that we'll find. Alright, like I said, instead of x, we have t. Alright, instead of y, we have h. And understand that this means time and height. So this is important because we're going to find the vertex, but when you find it, you need to understand that the first number is going to be the time and the second number will be the height. Alright, otherwise you won't know what you have. So let's find the vertex. So like I said, we're going to need opposite of b over 2a helps us find the x value of the vertex. Okay, so we need the vertex. Alright, and we know it's going to be something comma something. To find that x value, or in this case the t value, it's going to equal to opposite of b over 2a. So that's going to be negative 4, alright, opposite of b, over 2 times negative 5. Okay, that's going to give me negative 4 over negative 10. a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay, so that would be like positive 4 over 10. But we might as well go ahead and reduce this as well. Both of these are divisible by 2. So that's going to give us 2/5. Okay, so this is the x-coordinate of the vertex. But instead of x's, we're calling them t's right now. But either way, this first value of the vertex is 2/5. We'll make that into a decimal in a minute. In fact, maybe I'll just go ahead and put it underneath. So 2/5 as a decimal, okay, 2 divided by 5 is 0.4. Alright, so we could call it 0.4 as well. Now, we need to find the y value that goes with it. So how will we do that? Basically, we need to take the x value and plug it in to find the y value. The easiest way to do that is to type the equation into the table feature of your calculator. Alright, so so hitting the table feature of your calculator, I'm just going to clear this out. Let's see, we've got negative 5t squared. Alright, so we'll do negative 5, and we have to settle for x squared. We're not going to use t's. We got x's. And then plus 4t plus 1. So I'm going to do plus 4x plus 1. Okay? Now, we want to know the value at 2/5 or 0.4, same thing. So you could do either one. You could type in 2/5, alright, using your fraction key. Alright, and hit enter a few times. Oh, it changes it to 0.4 anyway, that's funny. So anyway, at 0.4, the y value is 1.8. Okay? Alright, so we might as well go ahead and use the decimals then. So the vertex is 0.4, comma 1.8. Okay? Now remember what I told you. Remember what this means. Let's look back at our work here. That x value, which in this case are actually t values, t is time. And then instead of y, we have h, because that represents height. So this vertex is the time and the height. Alright, so this height is the maximum height, because look where it is. It's at the top of the path. So this height is the maximum height, and this time is how long it takes to get there. So just remember that. So when we see these two numbers, please understand that this is the time and this is the height. Okay? So when they say how long will it take the ball to reach its maximum height, which one of these two numbers am I going to look at when it says how long? Yeah, how long? They're asking me about the time. So it's going to take 0.4 seconds. Okay, so let's see. So the answer to this question is 0.4 seconds. Alright, because they said how long. Now, what about part B? How long does it take for the ball to reach the ground? Okay, the ground. How long does it take the ball to reach the ground? Alright, look at our sketch. Which one of these letters are we dealing with if we're talking about reaching the ground? Okay, now we're talking about letter C. Okay, we're talking about the ground. Now the main thing that we know about letter C, there's only one thing we know about it. We know the y value of this point, alright, because it's on the ground. So whatever, we don't know anything else, but we know the y value, which in this case is height. At point C, the height is 0. Okay? So what that means is, if I want to know when it hits the ground, the thing that I know is that the height is 0. So since this is the formula for height, and the one thing I know is that the height is 0, so I'm going to go ahead and let the height be 0. So that means this equation is going to become 0 equals negative 5t squared plus 4t plus 1. So if I can solve this equation, I'll be finding the time where the height is 0, because I just let the height be 0. Alright? So in other words, okay, you know how we're always doing time comma height. Alright? We already know that the height is 0. We're going to find the time that goes with it by solving this equation. So let's see if this is factorable. If it's not factorable, then we'll have to use the quadratic formula. In fact, we're learning about the quadratic formula right now, so let's just go ahead and use the quadratic formula immediately. So the first step of solving this using the quadratic formula is go ahead and find the discriminant. B squared minus 4ac. Let's find that. Okay, so b is 4, so that'll be 4 squared minus 4 times negative 5 times 1. Okay, that's going to be the discriminant, the d. So this is how that discriminant would look. Okay, so our discriminant is 36. Alright, let's jot that down. Alright, save that for later. So now let's go ahead and do the rest of the quadratic formula. Just remember what the discriminant was. So for the rest of the quadratic formula, we'll do opposite of b. Okay, so opposite of b, so that'll be negative 4 plus or minus square root, and under the square root goes the discriminant all over 2a. A is negative 5, so 2a is negative 10. Okay, so we just have to simplify this. Well, this gives us, alright, x equals negative 4 plus 6, plus or minus 6 over negative 10, because the square root of 36 is just 6. Now, please understand that we have to keep going. This is just a regular number, so we can definitely evaluate it. Alright, so this is negative 4 plus 6 over negative 10, and negative 4 minus 6 over negative 10. Let's evaluate these. Alright, negative 4 plus 6 is 2. Positive 2. So I have positive 2 over negative 10, which reduces down to negative 1/5. By the way, if you ever needed to, you could type this expression in your calculator. Negative 4 plus 6 over negative 10. And that's negative 1/5. Now, you should be able to definitely work it out step by step the way I'm doing. But if you find yourself making a lot of mistakes, check your answer by typing this in. Now this, negative 4 minus 6, that's negative 10, divided by negative 10, so that will be positive 1. So our two solutions are negative 1/5 and positive 1. Okay? Now, This is a word problem, so we need to think about what these values mean. Now remember, we had the height of 0. We were looking for the time that goes with it. Alright? So which one of these could be the possible time? Could it be negative 1.5 seconds? Alright, is that how long it could take for the ball to hit the ground? Or could it be 1 second? Yeah, negative 1.5 seconds. The time can't be negative, alright? Time is not going backwards. We don't have a time machine. So that's called extraneous, alright? That's not valid for the problem. So that means the only possible solution is this one. Okay, 1 second. Alright, that's how long it took for the, whatever this is, the ball to hit the ground. Okay, that's it. Took 1 second. Alright, that's long enough for one video. I hope that was helpful. Okay, we just did that one word problem. Alright, had a couple parts to it. I know this can be confusing sometimes, but my hope is the more we do, the more you'll get a feel for it. Alright, we'll pick up the next video with another example. So join me for problem number 2 on the next video.